welcome back. If you are trying to find a professional for a long-term relationship, something to think about. I guess, of course, I have to talk a little Seahawks because they signed Marshawn Lynch, and so something to kind of think about is, look, you find somebody you want to work with, and what do? You give them a long-term contract, and you make everybody feel a little happier. I'm happy to have Beast Mode back for the next few years, but I digress. Finding a professional to work with is not always the easiest thing, and you do have to make sure that they want to work with you and are willing to be accessible, engaging in all these different manners. Jim Stroupe joins us from Real Logic Sotheby's International Realty and the Stroupe Group. Jim, welcome, first of all, and I'm glad you're here because, this education phase that some professionals are willing to do and some aren't, is such a key aspect, and it sounds like something that you really do with a lot of the people in your marketplace, in the downtown condo marketplace.
Yes, that's true. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate that. Our foundation is to try to educate our clients so they can make an informed decision based on the information that we give them. We're not a high-pressure sales group at all. We do that in several ways. We like to give them stats. We also have dozens of websites, building profiles.
Dozens?
Oh, yeah, dozens, about 64 of them.
Wow.
And we also have building profiles of every single condominium in downtown Seattle. So you can track what's going on in each one of these individual buildings, and we encourage people to do so.
And you'd even talked about, each one of these buildings, we'll get into inventory and values, but each building downtown, because of the amenities, because of all the different things and different people it caters to, is kind of its own little sub-market, you were saying.
Oh, that's what's great. Every single building has its own characteristics, its own personality. And if a buyer is coming into town, they can generally find something that fits what their style of living is, based on where it's located, what attributes of the amenities are, to how old it is, everything.
And so how do you help people? Like the search for a condo. You can see downtown from here. I don't know how many of those buildings are condos, but there's a lot of them.
First thing we do is we have a conversation with them. We meet with them and see what their goals are. How long do they plan to stay there? What is their lifestyle? When they go home, do they go outside? Do they like to entertain? And this will really kind of guide them in what direction to start at. We also encourage them to change their mind once to see what they can get for their money. For example, some people's views are very, very important. They want a sound view, but then they realize they can get more square footage if they don't have that view, but have a good city view. So we give them permission to, lighten up a little bit and learn about the market and then make adjustments.
Well, and all these, of course, with choices, and we've talked about this a lot, there's not as many choices out there in houses. The inventory is low. Talk about the inventory a little bit in the downtown condo, because I think everybody goes downtown and goes, man, I'd live at the top of that building.
It is surprising. This year, I've seen a change that I haven't seen in, probably at least 5 years. Last week, myself, one of my associates, my partner, we were in multiple offers. I'm in another multiple offer today. My associate is writing 2 more offers, and they're all multiple offers. One is in Ballard, and the rest are right in downtown. So we are seeing a change that people aren't quite seeing yet. I've got buyers right now that are ready to go, and I look for them every few hours to see what's on the market, because I'm seeing the things sell in 12 hours if it's priced right. I know of another condominium over in the Cristala. They have between 9 and 14 offers, depending on who you ask. It's kind of hard to get some true answers sometimes. But I looked some stats right before I came in today. And in the downtown area, and that's from Puget Sound to the freeway, Queen Anne to the stadiums, there were 143 active listings. There were 94 pending listings. So that kind of tells you that we are really in a rapid changing market right now.
And when you have all of these listings, what does that do to the value? You have these new listings. What's that doing to values? Because as many of these subsets of a market as each building are, there are a lot of condos. There's a lot of condos.
There's a lot of condos. It really depends what building you're looking at. But we are seeing inventories dry up dramatically.
And what is that doing to the values?
The values are right now, you still have a lot of short sales to go through. You have foreclosed properties to go through. And they are dragging things down. I had an appointment this morning with a client of mine, past client, and they're looking to sell their property. And we were looking at this building in the park. And there are 2 sets of numbers. One are numbers that are foreclosed and short sales, and they're dramatically lower. And then you've got the other set that are just regular sales. and they're about 20% difference right now. So you've got one section of the market that's dragging down the other section, and they're both kind of equalizing right now. You're seeing short sales that the banks were accepting prices that the banks are no longer accepting them, and they are countering significantly higher than the original price.
And so is that one of the biggest challenges you see buyers and sellers facing then, is maybe meeting in the middle of this? Hey, that one sold down like there. And I mean, you know, that's got to be one of those big challenges. I know from the financing side, and Ryan might be able to hit on this a little bit later, but the condos are not the easiest thing to finance. There are big stipulations that can come up, maybe not so much in the downtown buildings, but there's certainly some buildings on the east side that have just been, I mean, they're in rough shape when it comes to the amount of dues that are late. And it's not only just buying one, or finding that one, it's financing it. It
is. That is true. And last year, I can say that about 80% of our clients were cash buyers at all kind of price ranges, anywhere from the first-time home buyer up to the multi-million-dollar. And I have not seen that change or that shift ever. This year, lending is loosening up a little bit, and we're starting to see more and more financing. I'm working with a client right now that just got in contract for 3.5% down, and I haven't seen that in a while. That will actually stick, and these will stick. Yeah, well, it is still a way to go. Jim, we have a few minutes left. Again, we're here with Jim Stroupe with RealLogic Sotheby's International Realty. And so are condos, is this a good investment right now? We've talked about, you know, do you see that as being an up-and-comer? Yes, but I've always thought they were good investments. I own several myself as investment properties. I am an investor, so I constantly look for, you know, opportunities myself. But right now, you've got the new construction selling these units for less than it costs to replace them. That is not sustainable. That's also been hard for the resales because they can't compete against that. But now that you've got the new construction being absorbed at an incredibly fast rate, for example, Enzo this time last year had about 40 units. They're sold out. Gallery had approximately 80 units this time last year. They're sold out. Escalo's doing great. Olive's doing great. 1521, I think they've got about 22 units left. So all that is going away. So with that and the interest rates, I think we're going to have some appreciation this year in the downtown core. I'm one of the few that think that. Case and Schiller just came out that we went down again for the Tri-County area. But downtown, it's just supply and demand. You've got Amazon coming in. They've got tons of new employees coming in. You've got Russell Investments. You got Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. You got the gaming industry. The jobs are here. That change is happening. And is that, I mean, you know, you have these new jobs. I know Amazon just took over. I mean, I feel like they're taking over South Lake Union. So, I mean, that's got to drive people. I mean, we talked the bridge. I mean, who wants to sit in traffic? Absolutely. We've heard that too. For example, we work with some Microsoft people that want to be by the commuter bus that Microsoft has. One of their big criteria is they don't want to live in Bellevue. They want to live in downtown Seattle. And they don't want to deal with the bridge, so they have to be close by that commuter. I think it's interesting. That's the Microsoft way, right? I'll work in Redmond, but I'm not living over there. Yeah, you hear that quite a bit. Jim, just one more question before we go to break. Are there more units coming on? You talk about being able to buy them less expensive, and certainly if there's not new condos coming on, I mean that's a shrinking inventory. Yes, but there's two sides to that. The new construction is gone after this cycle. There is nothing coming on, but you also see another cycle of apartment buildings. And I can see down the road that those are being converted into condominiums. It's difficult to do now because the Fannie Mae guidelines have changed. So you just can't give a renter a first right of refusal if they don't want to purchase, then you can sell to the outside. There are all kind of rental rates that you've got to look at now. But I can see those rules kind of softening up down the road. The other side of the coin, though, is you've got a lot of sellers that want to sell their property and haven't. This city is really fortunate because you've got many sellers that have the ability to hold on to their properties. They don't have to sell. And that's why you see these condominiums they're having a higher rental rate in these buildings. So I can see a lot of pent-up selling demand as well that we're going to have to filter through in the next couple of years. There's certainly a lot of buying and selling that will happen the next few years at some certain price, but the pent-up demand is something we're seeing on our side as well. Yep. I'm really bullish on the downtown area. I really am. The jobs are coming in. The inventory is shrinking. And I think we're in a good spot right now. And if you're thinking about buying, really watch things. Yeah.
Well, Jim, thanks so much for joining us again. Jim Stroupe with RealLogic Sotheby's International Realty. When we come back, whether you're looking to buy a condo downtown to live in or potentially as a rental, it may be one of the better investments you can make. Find out what Warren Buffett said real soon when we come back. My name's Ben Brashen. You're listening to Brashenomics.